Welcome to the 2020 New Testament Challenge. Today we begin the book of Hebrews, Hebrews chapter 1. The first 4 verses of Hebrews is very similar to Colossians chapter 1, verses 15 through 20. Let me read these two passages next to each other. First, Hebrews chapter 1. In the past, God spoke to our forefathers through the prophets at many times and in various ways. But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son, whom he appointed heir of all things, and through whom he made the universe. The Son is the radiance of God's glory and the exact representation of his being, sustaining all things by his powerful word. And after he provided purification for sins, he sat down at the right hand of the Majesty in heaven. Now let me share with you Colossians verses 15 to 20. This is speaking about Jesus as well. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For by him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things were created by him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning and the firstborn from among the dead, so that in everything he might have the supremacy. As you put these two passages together, we understand that Jesus is the image of the invisible God, that he is the exact representation of God. And through him, all things were created, all things were made, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible. Everything was created by him and for him. In the past, God spoke through prophets in various ways, but in these last days, God has spoken through his Son, Jesus. Reconciliation and peace came through Jesus' blood, and after he provided purification, he sat down. Within the Old Testament, the temple, the priest would go and provide offerings for the people, and they would make sacrifices, but they would never sit down because their job was never finished. After they finished making one sacrifice, because it was not a perfect sacrifice, they had another one yet to do. But Jesus, who was the perfect sacrifice, who was the great high priest, he finished his work, he did everything that was necessary, and then he sat down at the right hand of God the Father. What he did finished everything once and for all. Within the book of Hebrews, Jesus being greater is the central theme. Jesus is greater than angels. Jesus is greater than Moses. Jesus is greater than the priests, even the high priest Melchizedek. In Hebrews chapter 1, we hear a lot about angels. In verse 5, "For which of the angels did God ever say, 'You are my son, today I will become your father'?" Or the latter part of verse 6, "Let all of God's angels worship him." In verse 13, we read, "To which of the angels did God ever say, 'Sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet'?" And then verse 14, "Are not all angels ministering spirits sent to serve those who will inherit salvation?" The world is not interested, seemingly, in the Bible, but they are in angels, particularly in the supernatural. Here in October, there's a lot of emphasis placed upon spirits, but it's on the negative aspect. The Bible, however, is all about the supernatural. Why is it that people are so interested in angels? Let me share 4 reasons why. Number 1 would be because of a spirit of hopelessness. There is a void inside every single person, a spiritual void that can only be filled by God, but people are looking for the supernatural to possibly fill that void, not understanding that it's God himself that they are looking for and needing. A second is a spirit of selfishness. People want to know, what can angels do for me? They want to be served. A third aspect is the spirit of the new age. Our society is being conditioned for the end times. And so we know that when the Antichrist comes, he will come on a platform of signs and wonders. But then there's a fourth reason, and that's a spirit of curiosity. People are curious about the unknown. From Scripture, what do we know about angels? We know that they are messengers. We know that they are created beings. We know that they are not eternal beings, for they did not always exist. We know that they are not glorified human beings. When we leave this life and are ushered into eternity, we do not become angels. And angels are invisible spirit beings. Sometimes they allow themselves to be seen, but they are in a different realm. As Elisha said to his servant, "Lord, open his eyes." And when he did, he saw angels in fiery chariots all around them. That was unseen before until his spiritual eyes were opened. Jesus, however, is superior. He is to have the supremacy, first place over all things, for all things created by him and for him. He created angels. Angels worship him. Angels, they are servants, but Jesus is Lord of all. Thank you for joining the 2020 New Testament Challenge.